on my hands and on my feet.
Yeah.
And so I started making birding videos. And
Easy, wheezy, wheezy. Black and white warbler.
it's not just like listening to bird calls. There's like a meditative, like mindfulness aspect to it.
The award-winning Tennessee WildCast is on the air with the latest on hunting, fishing, boating, wildlife watching, and all things outdoors. Make welcome your host, drummer and outdoor expert novice, Jason Harmon.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this edition of Tennessee WildCast. We thank you for tuning in. Thanks for watching, for listening. We got a great show lined up for you today, Don.
Excellent.
I'm excited. We're going to listen to birds, listen to some music.
Yeah,
it's going to be fun.
I know.
I came across Ranger. This is Ranger Keith on Instagram the other day, and I thought, man, this guy is cool. We need to get him in studio. And then I learned more about him by digging around. Blood, Sweat, and Tears on the NBC, The Voice. I'm like, man, this guy is cool. So
It's a long, weird story.
I can't wait to hear about it.
yeah, I know this is new for all of us. So I'm excited to learn about Keith and what he does and what he loves to do.
Yeah.
It's gonna be fun. Don, you want to kick off with the radio station?
Yeah, in honor of the West Tennessee connection we got going here this morning, we'll shout out to WMC. We are on 790 there every Saturday morning. We just follow Larry Ray's program, and anyway, we appreciate him and all the folks at WMC and all our other radio partners. There's about 23 of them out there, and we appreciate them very much.
Yeah, we love our radio stations. You can listen to this show east to west.
That's right.
So it's pretty cool.
Plus all the social stuff, so it's pretty amazing.
Social media, your favorite podcasting app, we're out there, so go listen to us. Go watch us if you want to see us. This will be a good show to watch.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Check out Keith and see him play guitar a little bit here in a minute. But Keith, let's jump right in. This is Ranger Keith on Instagram as well on TikTok. We'll pull it up on the screen for people who are watching it and want to see it. But I just think it's cool. You go out in the woods and you listen to birds and you educate people on what they're hearing. And but anyway, just tell us a little about yourself and we'll jump into some of this.
I mean, I get a lot of that on there where people are like, what kind of green screen are you using? Like, no, it's just a tripod. I'm not smart enough for any of that.
Tripod in the woods.
Just hit the red button and call them out. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess let's jump back and tell us about yourself and how you became a ranger and then kind of how your life's evolved.
Sure. Yeah. So my name is Keith Paluso. I grew up in Tipton County, just north of Memphis, Tennessee.
Tennessee boy.
Yeah. And I've always been into the outdoors. I remember being in the third grade. Miss Jenkins asked me what I wanted to be when I grow up, and I said I want to be a herpetologist. She said, I don't know what that is, but you make sure you wash your hands. I wanted to study snakes. When I was a kid, I had posters of snakes and stuff on the wall instead of cars and stuff like that. And was in Boy Scouts, grew up in Scouts, and was camping once or twice a month from the time I was probably 10 or 11 until I was about 19.
Yeah.
And so when I went to college, I'd grown up also playing music with my brother. My brother's a really incredible musician, and we'd been playing together all our lives. But whenever we went to college, we went to University of Tennessee at Martin, and he went and studied music. And I said, I'm going to go be a biology major. And so I studied mostly reptiles and amphibians all through college. And so I quit playing music altogether because I had to buckle down. The first couple of years, you don't buckle down so much. And then I buckled down the last year really hard. And I'd been working for the Park Service throughout most of my college career as a seasonal ranger. I started off at Natchez Trace State Park and then spent 3 seasons at Reelfoot Lake. I'm just absolutely in love with that place.
Wow.
I had no intention of being a ranger, though, at all. I wanted to go on to graduate school, wanted to go and do research, basically. And by the time I was about to graduate, I was ready to go to southeastern Louisiana to study snakes down there. And at the last minute, I was like, no, I think I'm going to go be a ranger. And so right when I graduated, I hired on as a ranger at Mousetail Landing State Park over in Perry County.
Okay.
And, it's 1,200, 1,400-ish acres out there of just middle of nowhere. And I just loved it. And spent about 2.5 years there and transferred over to David Crockett State Park in Lawrence County. and was there for about 3 years. And when I was with Tennessee State Parks, I was on our special operations response teams, where if there's any kind of critical incident on the parks statewide, you jump out with a couple other people and go help with that. And other than like how romanticized it is, being a ranger it's a lot more work than people realize.
Well, I was
just playing outside.
I was going to ask. I mean, people listen to our show. They know what a wildlife officer does, but how different is it to be a ranger? Yeah.
So there is like a conservation law enforcement element to that, and that kind of varies from park to park. Because a lot of times, if you're hunting on a park, you're already in trouble anyway. The bag limit and stuff is out. Yeah. You're already in trouble. But some parks are not that way.
Yeah, some are open.
So you have like conservation law enforcement element. You also have a lot of emergency response. You're going to do a lot of medicals and stuff like that too. But you're also the management system of the park. And so, however many employees your park has, whether it's a resort park or it's a place like Mousetail that has like 6 employees, the way it goes is your ranger staff is the management. So you have like the park manager, who is a ranger.
Okay.
And then you have however many rangers that are under that person, and then the operations of the park, like boat docks and cabins and whatever money-making, revenue-generating operations and stuff, are supervised by rangers. And so you're the emergency operations, you're the management of the park in general, but then you also have a business with revenue goals that you have to manage, and all that stuff too, and personnel and all those things. And so it's a million things at once every day.
Yeah.
So
it
your
kind of reminds me just a little bit of our wildlife management areas, because a lot of the guys that are taking care of those properties do kind of similar things, and they might not deal with the public as much, but if something breaks, hey, you got to figure out how to fix it. You got to make it work again.
Somebody's upset that something looks a certain way. You've got to go fix that too. There's a lot. There's a lot to it, and so as you live there too, for most of us, and so you never really leave. So like I manage the maintenance crew and stuff, and I live right next to the shop, and you can't turn it off. And I'm the kind of person that lives that way, whether I'm working for the parks or I work for myself, I'm just always working. And so about 6-7 years into that, I was feeling it. I was pretty burnt out, and I still love that career, and on all the people that I worked with, it's incredible. Yeah. But my wife was like, "Dude, you need a hobby that has nothing to do with being outside. Don't go like run trails or anything like that. You're going to see something you need to fix, you know. And like go grab one of those guitars and get back in a guest bedroom and go get out of my face, And so
yes, dear.
Yeah. She's the brains in the operation anyway. So I was like, yeah, that's probably a great idea. And so I put up a couple of videos on YouTube here and there, and within like 3 months or so, ended up on The Voice.
Wow.
And
yeah, that's awesome.
And if you follow any of the people that ever go on that show, like you have kids that are on the show and you have grown-ups and stuff, but I was the only grown-up that like did not play music for a living.
Okay.
Already, it make it seem like everybody just kind of comes out of nowhere. But I remember getting into LAX for the first time. It was like I saw they're like kind of collecting the contestants and stuff, and we're getting ready to get in this van. So I'm like meeting people. I'm like, "Hey, how's it going? I'm Keith. Like I'm a park ranger. What do you do for a living?" And this one, this lady that she's absolutely incredible. She's incredible. She's on my season. Her name's Sandy Red. And as soon as she walks to you and you see her, you're like, "She's a rock star. What am I doing here?" And so I like shook her hand. I was like, "Hey, I'm Keith. I'm a park ranger, and I play music sometimes. What do you do for a living?" And she was trying not to be condescending at all. She's trying to just let me down easy. She was like, "I'm a singer." And I was like, "Oh man, what am I doing here?" And so despite all that, I ended up going on the top 24 with started off on Blake's team, and then jumped on to Adams for a minute, and then I was gunning for Kelly Clarkson's team the whole time, and so I went to the top 24 eventually with Kelly, and that all kind of started everything for me. Wow. So I got not long after that, I was driving around playing a lot of shows in Texas and stuff, and I went back to being a park ranger kind of part-time just because this is what I know how to do.
Yeah, you love it.
Yeah. And I got a call from the manager of Blood, Sweat, and Tears, like played Woodstock Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
Yeah, the Blood, Sweat, and Tears.
And, and he was like, he's going to be mad that I did this impression, but he's like, "Hello, Mr. Keith, this is Larry Dorr with Blood, Sweat, and Tears." And I was like, "Hi." And he said, "We saw you on television, was going to see if you want to be our new singer." And I was like,
Wow.
This is a scam. No way, not a chance. And I was like, "Sure, manager of Blood, Sweat, and Tears. That sounds great. Let's do that." And I was like, "Well, when's our first rehearsal?" He's like, "No rehearsals. You just show up to your first show in Fort Lauderdale in front of 8,000 Floridians, and you either play good or you get fired." I was like, so it can't be serious. There's no way. I was like, and so I'm like 31 with a mortgage and a family and like a small child and stuff. And I was like, "Yeah, sure, sounds great. Like, let's just go all in on this gamble." And it turned out not to be a scam. I did not think I was going to get to Fort Lauderdale and come back with both of my kidneys. I was like, "This is a scam. I'm losing a kidney," but I've got them both still, and I've been touring with them for a couple of years now.
Man, that's incredible.
So how often do you go out with Blood, Sweat, and Tears then?
When I first started, we were doing like 80-something shows a year. And now, like, when the pandemic hit in March of 2020, all of our shows for that year got canceled.
Right, yeah.
And then now we're kind of starting back off slowly and cautiously with like probably 30 or 40 shows a year right now. And so I have more time to go bird watching.
That's neat. That's neat. That's worked out pretty well then.
But that's kind of how I started doing the birding thing. Whenever all the tours got canceled and stuff, I noticed there was an open ranger position at Shelby Forest, which is in Memphis. I grew up going to that park. It's incredible. I mean, the place is gold mine. It's 20 square miles just north of Memphis. The place is huge, and absolutely beautiful. And so I talked to the manager. I was like, "Hey, I wouldn't mind like coming back as a ranger over there. I don't know if touring is ever going to happen again." And so I ended up there, and I was like, "Well, I guess that's what I'm doing now." And so I started making birding videos and birding content.
That's kind of how I found you
on TikTok. Yeah. And I think it was just such there was very good timing to it because it was the tail end of 2020. Everybody's stressed out. And it's not just like listening to bird calls. There's like a meditative, like mindfulness aspect to it. And I feel like that was kind of, I feel like with
good
medicine
for folks.
I feel like with music as a business, like if you're a person like me, where my whole career has been based around service, like doing things for other people, and you go into a business like music where it's very self-serving and self-promotional, where you're just like, "Please come to my show, please support me and do this." But it feels like your songs are what you're doing in return. But in my mind, like that's not enough for me.
Right.
And so I feel like doing that's a way I do things and help people, and so I like it.
Let's show folks one of these videos.
Yeah,
I think it's cool. So turn your radio up.
I'm out birding this morning, and I thought you might want to take a minute to just be present. We're just going to sit and listen and let the world be whatever it is. If you don't know your bird calls, that's okay. I'll tell you what they are as we go. There we go. Easy, wheezy, wheezy. Black and white warbler. Cheeseburger, cheeseburger, cheeseburger. Carolina wren. Chiree, chiree, chiree. That's an American robin. Tawa, tawa, talio, or wanna in a video. Hooded warbler. Black and white warbler again. American robin again. Carolina wren again. Brrr. Chipping sparrow. All right. I'll see you later.
That's cool. I like the cheeseburger.
Yeah, whatever helps. Some people say tea kettle, but I can obviously more into cheeseburger.
So that's cool. That helps people identify sounds. I've heard people do that before, and it's pretty cool. So I mean, you're able to share your love of birding and of wildlife through these videos, and educate people too. I think it's awesome.
Just being aware, being more aware when you're outdoors. Sometimes I'll hear, and I'm not a bird call expert for sure, but I'll just try to absorb all the birds that I hear in the morning when I'm walking my dogs. Just the symphony of birds.
Absolutely.
Around. And I think a lot of people are starting to notice things like that now where they didn't before.
I think so too, and I think all of our minds are so busy all the time. You're seeing a million advertisements every day, and you're wondering what your next step is, and all of that. And I think taking a minute to just check out of that and just become aware of your immediate surroundings and just let it be what it is. I think that's good medicine.
All right.
Yeah, for sure.
Speaking of immediate surroundings, there's a guitar in his surroundings, right?
I think now's a good time to hear a song.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Sure. But yeah, we couldn't let the day pass by without getting Keith to play a song or two for us, and I can't wait to hear what he's got in store.
Thanks. I'll play one that my brother and I wrote this song together when we were in college. We lived in the campus apartments over at Martin, like the really old ones. I don't think they're there anymore. We lived there, and I'd been working for Reelfoot at the time, spending most of my time out in the swamp. And I remember sitting there drinking coffee with Keegan one morning, and on the news they showed where somebody had broken out of the Northwest Tennessee Correctional Complex up there by Reelfoot, and had dove into the swamp basically for 3 days. And I was out there all the time. Then I was like, man, this got to be miserable. This has got to be terrible. And even if you weren't like on the run, it's got to be terrible.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I was like, Keegan, we need a jailbreak song.
That's a song, yeah.
And so he wrote the lyrics for this one in like 5 minutes. He's really good at that. But this song's called Toad Strangler, and Toad Strangler Blues. And I didn't know at the time, because we grew up, our mom's from East Arkansas, from the Memphis area.
Okay.
And it basically speaks in Southern sayings. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And I didn't know that nobody else in the world knew what a toad strangler was, other than that. It's a hard rain. It's a rain so hard that it could possibly drown a toad. Have you ever heard that?
Yeah, I've heard it. Oh
yeah.
Because
Very
sometimes
familiar.
I play this one, and people are like, "Oh, a what now?" So, this is Toad Strangler Blues. Hit the ground running about 3 days ago, with a dog on a trail and an ivory butt pistol. I said 1 step, 2 step, 3 steps in time. Gotta make it back home to see my baby. Yeah. Oh Lord, here comes a toad strangler. Time to settle down under the shade of those trees. And I'll be praying to God then the lightning doesn't come. Got metal on my hands and on my feet. Well, we hold up here in this apple field. Was a nice day's rest while we ate our fill. Then the dogs came running, Warden came a hollering. Time to hit the trail for the skin you hide. Yeah. Oh Lord, here comes a toad strangler. Time to settle down under the shade of those trees. And I'll be praying to God that the lightning doesn't come. Got metal on my hands and on my feet. I got metal on my hands and on my feet. Well, old man blinked and he turned a blind eye. Me and my body said it's time to fly. Back to the feeling of a woman's touch. Nice warm bed, we don't ask for much. Came that rain on a Thursday night. Torches was out, we thought we could hide. I don't think we'll go back to the pen. From the sound of that shotgun, looks like the end said, whoa, here comes the toad strangler. Time to settle down under the shade of those trees. And I'll be praying to God that the lightning doesn't come. Got metal on my hands and on my feet. I said, oh Lord, here comes the toad strangler. Time to settle down under the shade of those trees. And I'll be praying that on my hands and on my feet.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Oh, that's awesome. Hey, if you're just listening, just tuning in, we've got Ranger Keith with us, Keith Paluso. We're talking about birds, playing some music.
Yeah.
This is awesome.
Hey, I got a question, another
Yeah.
musical question. So you got the call from the management of the Blood, Sweat, and Tears, and they said show up at a certain date at a certain time. And did they send you a set list or anything? Or how'd that work?
That's another scary part. So you have the album versions,
Right,
that you can listen up
Sure.
everywhere. But the band's been touring continuously since then,
Yeah.
you know, and has had so many members throughout the years. And I think that's what keeps the music alive. But it is living, you know. So
The arrangements evolve
it
over
has
time.
evolved
yeah.
very much over the years, and so you basically you listen to the originals, and then you listen to several different board recordings of
okay.
various shows that they may do,
Yeah.
and you
Okay.
kind of just take the average and hope for the best.
It's gonna be something like this.
Yeah, it'd be somewhere in here. Yeah, and so it's a bumpy start because you're learning, you know.
Sure.
And they're really great about encouraging you to be yourself. You know,
Okay.
They don't want you to sound like somebody else. They
Yeah.
want you to be yourself in there, and I think that's what keeps that alive, really.
You kind of get this Taliban, follow me. We're going here. We're going there. Are you following them?
What's that?
Are you following the band, or are they following you when you're up there singing?
A little bit like you watch each other and you
Yeah.
listen to each other
Yeah.
and just kind of you let it be artistic, you
Yeah.
know. And the guys in the band, if you look up whoever is playing at the time, those guys are top notch, like
Yeah.
absolutely incredible. I remember our bass player, the guy that plays bass with us most of the time right now, Rick Fierrabracci. When I grew up, I played bass. When I was growing up, I played bass in a funk band, and I remember like idolizing Rick Fierrabracci when I was a kid. Wow. And now he's just some dude that I joke around with in the van, you know.
Yeah.
And those guys are incredible. They're top notch. So
That's neat.
Most musicians that you run into are just average guys, or guys and gals are easy to talk to, fun to
Yep.
hang out with. It's,
that's true.
I was following your drummer on there, man. He's awesome
Dylan,
too. Man,
yeah, he's a monster.
yeah.
He's a monster.
Awesome. Well, real quick before we run out of time, I wanted to show people who want to find more about birds in Tennessee to go to our website, tnwildlife.org. And on this page, you can listen to some birds just like you can on the Audubon.
Sure.
Yeah. So we're going to pull one up. What was the red-billed woodpecker we wanted to highlight today? But yeah, you can go to this page. It's under wildlife, click birds, and then click through. But anyway, you can hear some of the birds here. And
This is probably one of the most common woodpeckers that you'll hear, and right now we're going into the tail end of the summer, and so a lot of our summer migrants are going to start leaving, and we'll get our winter migrants. And whenever I talk to people about learning bird calls, I usually try to start them off on our residents, stuff that's here year round. So once they learn 5 or 10 resident birds, anything that's new will stand out, and then they can focus on that. So learning a red-bellied woodpecker is the way to go right now.
so what's the cheat phrase or code that you use to identify this one?
I think trying to imitate the sound is just as funny as trying to come up with like a mnemonic device, like want to rent a video or cheeseburger, because they make like a blurp, and if they're not making that sound, they make like a gurp, gurp, gurp. And so it's funny by itself. You should remember it.
Let's play it.
Yeah.
I like this next one. Yeah.
So once winter comes in, these will be part of a multi-species flock with several other woodpeckers and also the chickadees and titmice and nuthatches and stuff like that. And so once you learn these guys will be hanging out with about 5 5 to 10 other species, and then you can familiarize yourself with stuff that stays here year round.
Gotcha.
And it'll maybe be a lot easier for you.
Well, this time of year right now, it's almost September. What are you going to be hearing right now if you're out there listening?
Right now, you can still get some of our summer birds. So you'll still be able to hear things like if you're close to water, you'll probably still be able to hear some eastern kingbirds. You may still hear some of the tanagers out in like deciduous woodlands. Mississippi kites are getting ready to leave right now, and so you'll probably hear those because they are like getting together in big groups and getting ready to leave. They make like a sound. That's one of my favorites right now.
Yeah.
Still really easy to find eastern phoebes and learn them right now because they will be here in the winter too, but that would be an easy one to learn.
Cool. Well, I also had a question like the top birds in Tennessee. What's your favorite bird in Tennessee
Man, people ask me like what my favorite is all the time, and I get like really fascinated like going down down a rabbit hole reading about different stuff. But to me, just because, and I think this will be true for anybody that starts kind of birding, especially if they're using it just as moments to check out and become more aware of your surroundings, is that like I've done it long enough now to where certain bird calls, when I hear them, remind me of things that are important to me. And so it's not just fascination with the birds. Maybe it's a little bit more selfish because it makes me remember things. So like the first wood thrush of the summer, when I hear the first wood thrush that gets here, I think about the first house that my wife and I lived in when we were newlyweds with the first like beam of sunlight coming through the window. Or whenever I hear greater white-fronted geese, I'm thinking about driving around at Reelfoot in the middle of winter, in the middle of the night with my best friend, And I feel like that could be the same with everybody. And so a lot of times when I pick my favorite ones, it's because I'm a little more biased because of it reminds me of my own journey,
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, we're going to run out of time. I don't even know if we have enough time for another song.
That kind of reminds me of how songs affect people a lot.
Sure.
A certain song will bring back a memory.
Absolutely.
So that's cool that the bird calls will do the same for you.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Well, I think it's cool how you're sharing your passion of being outdoors and birding and things like that with folks, and then still being able to do music, and it's just cool.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Living the dream, I'd say.
I appreciate it. Thank y'all for having me, man.
It's been fun. Remind people how they can find you on Instagram. I don't want to miss anything. On TikTok.
My username is This Is Ranger Keith on almost every platform, especially Instagram and TikTok, and those are the ones that I monitor the most. So if you have any questions or you're looking for resources to learn about birding or just taking a minute to chill, hit me up.
And if you want to hear some music,
I'm Keith Paluso everywhere. I'm a third, but there's some other Keith Palusos, but I think I'm the only one that has music out.
Gotcha. Well, yeah, go follow him on social media. He's a cool guy. I can't wait to come hear you in concert sometime. That'd be fun to go hear a show.
It would be great.
So anyway, well, this is Tennessee WildCast. Todd, thank you for running the board, making it sound good. Don, thank you for co-hosting.
Yeah, you bet. Good to be back.
Yeah, it's been a few shows, hasn't it?
It has been.
We're glad you're back. tnwildlife.org for all things wildlife. Go outdoorstennessee.com to get your hunting and fishing license. And don't forget shop.gooutdoorstennessee to pick up a hat or some cool swag from TWRA. This is Tennessee WildCast, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for tuning in. Stay connected with TWRA by visiting our website at tnwildlife.org and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hey, it's all about Tennessee wildlife. It's what we do. Tennessee WildCast will be on the air again next week. We'll see you then.